As you get older, it can be challenging making friends and social connections. Your life may be filled with the obligations of later life with family and career responsibilities. Or at the other end of the spectrum, you may retire and find it isolating or have health issues that prevent you from getting out. And then there's the hollowing out of your social network. Old friends retire, they move away, and sometimes they even pass away. And admit it, you might also be a little bit more set in your ways and lacking the energy and enthusiasm for putting yourself out there and making friends. Building new social connections and finding friends when you're older can take work, and it can be especially difficult if you move to a new area or become an expat in a foreign country. So it sometimes seems easier just to settle into a smaller world with fewer friends. But it's really important not to do this. We actually know that being lonely and isolated increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, depression, anxiety, dementia, and illness. And in fact, loneliness and isolation in the U.S. has become such a concern that the Surgeon General has called it an epidemic and published a report last year that lays out the challenge and a strategy for dealing with it. We put a link to that in the notes below in case you're interested. As a retirement coach, I see this challenge a lot, and I wrote a bit about it in a newsletter a few weeks ago. I heard from a lot of you that this is a really challenging area. So in this video, I want to share 15 ways to build your social network. If you're interested in this kind of content and in learning how to thrive after 50, you can subscribe to our newsletter in the description. You don't see me much here on videos, and that's because I'm working and or writing the newsletter. So I will pop up from time to time with newsletter content. We want to do more about this in the future. If you're interested in this, please leave a comment below and let us know that you'd like to see more of this. And feel free to let us know also what you'd like us to write about or talk about. I have a laundry list a mile long, but I like to understand what it is that's really on your mind right now and all the challenges that have to do with what I call cracking the code on midlife. So please comment and let us know. Anyway, so let's get to the top 15. So these are 15 ways that you can build social connections as you get older. And number one, and the biggest, is get out of the house. That's the first thing to do. Your opportunities for meeting people while lying on your sofa are limited. Go to some events, attend local festivals, fairs, and cultural events. You can join hobby and interest groups that align with your passions and interests. Get outside. If you're healthy, try participating in sports and fitness groups. There's biking, there's yoga, there are sports leagues. The key is to put yourself in the middle of activities where you have opportunities to meet people. The activity is kind of secondary to whatever it is that you're doing. The key thing is, number one, you're out of the house. And number two, you're in an area that provides you with the greatest potential of meeting other people, other like-minded people, other people who are also looking for friends. So this can take a while, but eventually you will make new connections. Think of it as planting seeds. You are planting seeds and you will sow the results of those later. You may not have new friends immediately right away and go to a barbecue on that Sunday. But the key is to start making those connections bit by bit, little by little, and staying with it and being consistent. Next one, explore local cafes and restaurants. So one way to get out of the house, in addition to the ones we just talked about, is becoming a regular at a local cafe or a restaurant or a pub or what we sometimes call a third place, where you can get to know the staff and the other patrons who are there a lot. You need to eat, and doing it alone is boring, so find some cafes or restaurants with opportunities for socializing. That doesn't include using the drive-thru. Sit in a high-traffic area. Engage with the people around you. If you are a food person, You can also think about attending events that have to do with food if this is your interest. There are food festivals, especially in the summer, which is when we're shooting this. There are seafood festivals that are sometimes combined with music. There are farmers markets. There's cooking classes, and events that feature local cuisine. So take advantage of those food-related events. Eat slowly, hang around for a bit, maybe don't drink too much. Next, take classes and workshops. This sounds a little bit cliche, but taking a class can be a great way to meet people with similar interests, right? Again, the key is to connect with people who have the same kind of interests that you do, that like to do the same kinds of things that you do. Classes expose you to the same group of people over multiple sessions, giving you a good chance to meet people who may be interesting and many different opportunities to engage. Also, if the topic is something difficult or new to you or challenging that can take work to accomplish, you can have a sense of shared struggle with new people, and it can bring a group closer together. So think about that too. Many states have special programs for people over 50 or 60, and some even have scholarships. If you've moved to another country, classes teaching the local language can improve your communication skills and help you meet other expats and locals. Or you can look for a local exchange program where you can practice the local language in exchange for teaching someone your native language. So this is a really good way, if you've made a decision to travel in retirement, to connect with people in that country and also share what you have to offer, which can be really rewarding and life affirming. Participate in fitness activities. So obviously we know this, right? Exercise is really good for your overall health. It helps you live longer. It helps your mental health. And it can also help you make connections, which we don't talk about a lot. You can join group fitness classes at your local gym or community center, YMCA. And you can also join outdoor clubs that have to do with hiking or cycling or walking or tennis or pickleball. Pickleball's a big one. So don't leave out the idea of combining physical fitness at midlife with the social aspects that that provides. Volunteering. So volunteering, I think, has a lot of promise, but personally for me, hasn't really worked out all that well. I've tried volunteering in a number of organizations. A few of them worked out, but many times they don't. And depending on what your perspective is, it may or may not work for you. Many organizations who are mostly staffed by volunteers, I have found, spent a lot of trying to figure out how to use the people that showed up to volunteer, right? So depending on the maturity of the organization and how well it's run and organized and managed, you may find better volunteer opportunities that are a better use of your time than not. But you can look at volunteering as a way to open some doors for you and help you meet new people. There are lots of organizations that need free workers. And if you are not crazy about protecting your time and not having your time wasted like I am, it can be really easy to get in the door. If you're patient in that way, you can show up, find where you like the work, meet people of similar interests, and make some connections for there and also do some good. So volunteering is definitely a great way to make connections. Another thing about volunteering is that you can sometimes staff special local events, and that sometimes gets you backstage, and you can meet other volunteers who are closer to the action, people who work in the community, really closely associated with the events that are happening. So if it's also an issue that you're volunteering for that you're particularly interested in, you can connect with the actual people who are the experts in that area or doing the most work in that area. Use the internet. Look for people online. Social media platforms like Facebook, as we know, have their pluses and minuses, and they can help you to reconnect with old friends. Or you can join virtual groups that have the same interests as you do, or groups that have physical meetups. So there are lots of options here, sort of in between. There are totally virtual groups. There are virtual groups that also meet live, which is kind of a nice combination. But if you have any limitations that prevent you from really traveling or going anywhere, or coming out of your house for health reasons, you can consider using these groups online that can be very active if you know where to look and how to be selective. Create. At this stage of life, we have a lot to say. There are lots of ways to scratch this itch. Are you a good writer? Start a newsletter or a blog. Write fiction or nonfiction. Share your work on Medium or Substack. It sounds scary at first, but you'll be surprised at how kind and supportive the vast majority of people are, and how many new friends you make. The same goes for creating art or dancing. When you express yourself, you invite people into your world to connect with you. Attend cultural and social events. Look for cultural events that would be fun, like concerts, theater performances, or art exhibitions. These are all a place to meet people. Business networking events or industry conferences will help you meet professionals and expand your social circle. Or search for suitable local meetups based on your interests, like tech meetups, book clubs, or hiking groups. Libraries also sometimes host book clubs, lectures, and other events that are great for meeting new people. Participate in religious or spiritual activities. If you are already a religious or spiritual person, try attending services at your place of worship and participate in any community events or groups they offer. Even if you're not really religious, you can find connection in acts of service to others. Host gatherings. Invite neighbors or acquaintances over for dinner or a casual get-together like a wine and cheese party or coffee. Host a themed event such as a movie night or a game night or a potluck. Join or start a meetup. Meetup.com brings people together around common interests. You can search for groups in your area that interest you, like cycling, reading, cooking, investing, dogs and cats, and more. And if you're overseas, they're there too, and they have expat groups. And don't forget, I always forget this, if you can't find a group you like, start your own. Travel and tours. Try joining travel groups or go on long or short group tours. That would be fun even if you don't make a big connection with someone. Recycle old friends. Reach out and contact old friends or colleagues and meet up for coffee or lunch to catch up. You can use platforms like Facebook or LinkedIn to reconnect and then stay in touch. Engage with neighbors. Take the initiative to introduce yourself to your neighbors and engage in casual conversations. Participate in neighborhood events like block parties or community meetings, or in local special interest clubs like environmental clubs. If your community has a pool, for the summer, you can also meet a lot of people at the pool. There are lots of regulars at the pool. Engage with the expat community if you're traveling abroad. Check out social media platforms like Facebook or Meetup to find expat groups for your location. They're likely in the same boat as you are, and they're looking for people to connect with. Building a social network in a new country requires patience and effort, but by actively engaging in your community and taking advantage of those opportunities, you can create meaningful connections, and you can enjoy a fulfilling social life as an expat. So be sure to stay positive, be patient, be creative, and if you'd like, click on the like and subscribe buttons for this channel. Thanks for watching.